What's up YouTube, Kristo here, and I've got a video for you. Something I haven't done in a long time. This is a head-to-head video, and I've got two really special fragrances, at least that are quite special in my opinion. I'm going to be looking at Chanel No. 5's EDT, and I'm going to be looking at Aria di Capri from Carthusia, also the EDT concentration. Now, I want to mention a little bit quickly before I get started into the head-to-head. I wanted to do this for a couple reasons. First, because I think these are both great summer fragrances. And the other reason, I'm definitely branching out more into women's perfume, women's marketed perfume, feminine and floral fragrances, aldehydes, things like that. And, you know, I really want to get definitely more female subscribers and viewers. Most of the content on my channel is for men or for unisex, and I definitely want to kind of reach out for that demographic. You know, it's always nice to have a wider spread of viewers. I think it's quite nice to get some diversity. So let's get into this. Actually, one more thing I should mention. There's actually quite a few people who say these two fragrances have nothing in common. And there's also quite a few that think they are very, very similar. Obviously, you can tell I'm on the more similar side. I even sent a sample of the Aria di Capri to a friend of mine, and I forgot to label it, completely innocently forgot to label it. I just threw it in a package for him really quickly. When he got it, he sent me a message. He said, "What was that you sent me? Because that smells like No. 5. And, you know, funnily enough, I told him kind of the backstory to it, and he totally agreed. He said it smelled really similar. So, let's get into the first part here, kind of looking at the specifics of each fragrance. No. 5, as you can see over here on this side, this was made in the 1920s. This is a very old fragrance, about 1921, 1922, supposedly. Aria di Capri, over here, obviously, much, much newer, 2003. So it's got 80 years on Aria di Capri, okay? Perfumer, the legendary Ernest Beau, who also made the other concentrations for No. 5, as well as many other very, very early Chanel fragrances, some of which today are incredibly obscure and rare and hard to find. The perfumer for Aria di Capri is Laura Tonato, who doesn't have the most prestigious resume, but if you like something, who cares what else they've done. Price, this is a big one, and surprisingly, I didn't even realize this when I started compiling my data. For No. 5 over here, 100ml bottle, as I have on display, is $105 US directly from the Chanel site. Now, Aria di Capri, you're looking at 75 euros or $100 US approximately from the Carthusia website. However, if you buy this Carthusia or most or all of the other EDTs from Strawberry Net, which is a very big American-based niche fragrance supplier, you're going to be paying $120. Now, the thing when you start comparing high-end designers like Chanel and niche fragrances like from the house of Carthusia, one of the big problems is availability, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. But the thing with this is certain parts of the world will sell Chanel, but they can be very, very, very expensive, up to double retail price sometimes. Whereas Carthusia, because it's niche and it is very limited production, you're probably going to be looking at a pretty standard price for $100 to $120, so it's a little more stable. Both of these fragrances, according to Fragrantica, are floral aldehydes, which is definitely not surprising. Similar notes that they share, especially more predominant notes, are jasmine, rose, iris, lemon, and bergamot. Now, I'm going to do something different from my other head-to-heads, and I'm going to talk about noticeable differences. Now, I have some blotter papers here, and I've been comparing these all day, and even yesterday I broke them out. Okay, the big difference for me is that number 5 has definitely a much more tea feeling to it. I believe from the amped up jasmine. It's slightly more animalic. It's not overly animalic like the EDC concentration. The EDC for number 5 is crazy animalic. This one is definitely more heavy with the florals. Okay, now Aria di Capri, right away I can tell there's a lot more citrus. The citrus in number 5 is definitely more of a supporting note, whereas in Aria di Capri, it's much more prominent. As well, Aria di Capri has a lot more yellow flower, mimosa to be specific. So I'm going to say Aria di Capri, it's fresher and it's got more noticeable yellow flowers, whereas number 5 is giving me kind of a tea vibe, and it's a little bit more animalic. But it is definitely more of a white floral fragrance, I would say. Now, getting into the big stuff here, the specs, talking about performance and wearability and whatnot. In terms of projection, I'm going to take Aria di Capri. The projection on this is quite good. The first couple hours of this, I find it really easy to notice on myself. Whereas with number 5, if I wear this or if my wife wears it, within a couple hours, it's not really noticeable. And I think that's one of the reasons my wife doesn't really wear number 5 very much. Well, the EDT, she definitely takes the EDP more often. Now, in terms of longevity, completely the opposite. I get much better longevity out of number 5 EDT. Even though the longevity is better, the projection isn't as good, so you don't actually necessarily will be noticed for that amount of time. This one I'll get 6 to 8 hours, but it's not really noticeable. Whereas Carthusia, you get quite a nice little cloud around you for the first hour, maybe hour and a half, but honestly, I only get 3 to 4 hours out of this, which isn't great for the price, in my opinion. I want a bit better longevity out of it. Versatility, I gotta take number 5. If you want something that you can wear pretty much all year safely, casual, formal, date, anything like that, I think number 5 in terms of versatility is much better. Aria di Capri, which the next category is, and I've pretty much spoiled it, is pretty much just good for kind of casual summer wear. The versatility, it's just not there. If you want a bottle you can reach for all year round, I think you really have to go for the number 5. Seasons, well, summer. Like I said, this is kind of a summer head-to-head special. Yeah, I've kind of already ruined it. This one here, definitely. Aria di Capri. This is great for the summer. With the kind of fresh yellow flowers and the fresh citrus. Definitely gives a better vibe for summer. But, like I've mentioned, since the longevity isn't the greatest, and even though it outperforms number 5 EDT for projection, this isn't really going to do a lot in the colder months. If you're going to try to wear this in like sub-zero weather in North America, Europe in the winter time, it's just not going to do anything. It's just going to be gone. It's going to be lost within a couple minutes. Packaging. Don't usually get into packaging on my channel, but I definitely do for head-to-head. When you're looking at 2 different fragrances and you want to pick which one you like more, you always look at packaging. At least I do. Now, the winner for me, and this is a big one, is number 5. I really love this. It's such an iconic bottle size, bottle shape, everything about it, with the big double C's on the top, with the magnetic cap, which is really nice. The box, I love it. I really love the feminine fragrance packaging, the boxes specifically for Chanel. I just love how simple and iconic they look. Like, just I love it. The black lines and just kind of boxing in the label. I think they're great. I really, really love the feminine fragrances, the packaging and bottles and everything. The exclusives, I think, are amongst my favorite packages in the perfume world. Aria di Capri's not terrible, but I think the bottle looks a bit too plain. I don't know, it looks a bit like the original number 5 EDP, with the iconic medicine bottle shape. In fact, they're very similar. Looking at the EDP right now on my wife's shelf, they're really, really similar. It's not that it's bad, it's just not really original. It's nothing really different. The box, yeah, it's okay. It's pretty much just the same thing. It's kind of like a textured eggshell white box. Not really anything fancy to write home about. So definitely, I'm a really big fan of the number 5 EDT packaging. Availability. Now, this is a hard one to say for a few reasons. First of all, is availability a good thing? If you're kind of a perfume hipster and you want to be different, you want people to notice your fragrance because it smells different and unique, and having mild or low availability, is that a good thing for you? Well, if it is, then you're going to take this. It's a niche brand. You can only buy it over the counter in a few countries in the world, perhaps a few countries in Western Europe, USA, maybe Canada, Indonesia, obviously, but it's got much more limited availability. Now, if you do want something that is more accessible, perhaps because you live in a country in the world that doesn't really get niche fragrances, then availability, more easier to access availability, yeah, you're going to go for number 5. You can pretty much get Chanel perfumes in almost every country in the world. If you have a high-end department store, there's a very good chance you can get Chanel number 5. Now, this is a very funny point. Chanel number 5, Chanel perfumes has been removed from Indonesia, so it was actually easier for me to get this than to get this. I had to get this shipped to me from the UK, whereas this one I bought over the counter. For me, I'm a bit of a perfume hipster. I want to smell different. I want something that people don't know, or that people are going to go, wow, what is that? I've never smelt anything like it. So for me personally, I'm going to take Aria di Capri. Uniqueness, I got to give it to number 5, and not just the EDT, but number 5 in general. It's possibly the most copied perfume in history. Now, there is a bit of controversy. Perhaps number 5 is quite similar to other things that predated it, but the thing is, when people are copying the kind of classic floral aldehyde, they're copying this. They're not copying the super, super obscure things that came out before. This is, one of the most famous, most known fragrances, possibly the most well-known fragrance in human history. So yeah, I got to give the uniqueness to number 5, especially because it predates Aria di Capri by 80 some years. That said, though, I do think the perfumer behind this, they must know that they're borrowing a little bit from number 5. I think even though they are different, I think the similarities are just too obvious. So I'm definitely going to give uniqueness to number 5 EDT. Now, overall, for me, which am I going to pick? Everything considered, it's actually an easy pick for me. I've got to take Carthusia's Aria di Capri. I definitely can't knock number 5 in any concentration, but the EDT for me is just a little bit too floral and a little bit too much of the T note, the jasmine, I believe. So for me, when I first tried this blew me away because it gave me basically everything I can get from the EDT, but it amps up everything I wish was a little bit more. I wish there was more freshness. You know, the yellow flowers are a quite nice change. So definitely for me, it wins. For the price, for the quality, I think it is a very, very good buy. I actually enjoy this so much. I have a second bottle. I was given it by the sales assistant because this is their tester. So I bought the last bottle of this, so she threw this in for free because she knew how much I loved it. So there you go. There's my head-to-head Chanel number 5 EDT versus Carthusia's Aria di Capri. If you've tried both of these, let me know what you think. Are they as similar as I believe they are, or are you on the other side that they're nothing alike? If you've not tried both, tell me what you think of either or. What's your opinions? I think Carthusia is definitely an under the radar house. I've not been really impressed with a lot of stuff they've done, but this one definitely gets my seal of approval, especially for the summer months. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon.